It's Saddest Night Out, episode 483, Tuesday, 4th of March. Link in bio to find me online. I was going to make an episode about how I didn't watch the Oscars or the Brits. The Oscars, I think, are generally the last award show of award season. So award season is done for this year. It'll start again, end of this year, start of next year. I hadn't really been that invested in any of the nominees or award winners, etc. There's nothing I haven't seen any of the films nominated for Best Film. And I'm not too fussed about Best Album, etc. I'm curious, but that's about as far as my interest goes. In fact, no, if anything had piqued my interest, it was that I'd seen a few of the stars respond to criticism of their performances. And that had me concerned about how the industry is treating these stars. Because if you're as successful as these folks are, but they still feel the need to respond to online anonymous critics in such a way, that comes across as though you're insecure about what you have. And you see these anonymous criticisms as a genuine threat to what you have, and thus worthy of the kind of reaction that's happening. Which makes me think, I can only imagine folks that we see as popular and successful are getting the constant tap on the shoulder that says, well, your last song didn't get as many streams as the one before, or your most recent post didn't get as many views. Maybe you should keep posting, get back in the studio with this writer, this producer, etc. So you're always feeling as though you're on eggshells. And so some anonymous, not even trolls, just people saying they didn't like a particular performance or something, feels like such an attack that you respond with like a personal attack and saying these people are just keyboard warriors that have nothing going on in their lives and have nothing better to do, etc. Once upon a time, criticism was seen as an appreciation for something, so much of an appreciation that you feel it necessary to voice your thoughts. There are trolls. There's always trolls. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. I was going to do that episode, but I've done half of that episode, but I changed my mind. I've done a few episodes now. I'm somewhat back on the mic. And I've had a few comments that I haven't yet acknowledged. And I've gone live a few times, received a little attention, and had some comments in that direction as well. The podcast comments are from genuine people with names that I recognize. And thank you very much for leaving a comment, even just to let me know that you listened. Thank you for that. The TikTok comments are almost entirely from bots. And in particular, it's bots that are trying to get me to join their live teams or live academies or something to that nature. There's a bit of a script saying, when are you going live again? I'd like to help you in your goal. Connect with me. And if you click on the page, it's a bunch of clips of other people going live and being in live battles and receiving really large gifts that cost actual hundreds of pounds. Because that's always the end goal, getting people to spend money. And when you have a live battle with someone, the idea is whoever receives the most gifts wins that battle. So I'll be going live playing bass to people, and I'll get notifications of random accounts who have nothing to do with what I'm doing, wanting to join my live and turn it into a battle just to try and get those gifts, etc. and so on. This podcast isn't popular enough to warrant attention from bots. The only real people on TikTok that I've come across have largely come from the audience that watches me when I go live. I think when I go live, it's very clear I'm a real person, and it's real people who are responding. And if I hadn't responded to your comments or messages personally, please know that I am grateful that you sent them. I might not always be so quick to respond or be the type to respond in general. Maybe sometimes just me posting another episode or posting another video is my response, just to say, hey, I'm here and I see that you're seeing, and I hope you're seeing that I'm seeing that you're seeing, etc., etc. I made a new video. First one I've made in goodness knows how long, maybe a year. And I talked about the idea of flare search, which is a term I made up, although it's probably an idea someone else has already said. And I talked about it more on here on episode 397, if you want to go back and listen to that, if you aren't familiar with the term flare search. Flare as in lighting a flare. When I went live on Saturday, I had a picture of Michelle Trachtenberg, who's the actress from Gossip Girl that passed away. I had a picture of her behind me. When I went live on Sunday, it was a picture of the pool house from the OC. And when I went live yesterday on Monday, it was a picture of Effie from the show Skins. Bots won't recognize those images, but the silent masses that I mentioned I want to find with the whole flare search idea, they will recognize them. And I think those niche but recognizable images have a somewhat disarming effect. People are gently bemused and feel like they have to ask, what's Effie doing there? Why is Effie behind you? Is that the house from the OC? And next thing you know, they're in the conversation with everyone else, and they're part of the whole community and whatnot. They're in it with the rest of us. There's a difference between what the podcasts and the live streams are trying to achieve. What my podcast and my live streams are trying to achieve. I think there's a difference. The podcast is more personal. I'm just talking to you. I finished the Barack Obama book, A Promised Land, which is like 30 hours of audiobook. But he's got such a smooth voice, the time flies by. Now I'm listening to Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. And she mentions Barack at one point taking a 5-week trip alone to Indonesia to finish the manuscript for his first book and coming back with a bag full of handwritten pages. The conversations someone would have with themselves while trying to write the manuscript for a book. That's what this podcast essentially is. There's a comment section, and your responses are welcomed. You're invited to, make it a two-way conversation, but it's more of a personal conversation. The live streams are where the quote-unquote people gather. I might be the spectacle that you're watching. I might be the cause that's brought you together in the same digital room. But the main attraction is getting you all to find and talk to each other. Like I said in the idea of Flare Search, I can't find every fan of Interpol just by searching for Interpol in the search bar. I have to make the content, and that becomes the search because it draws people out. And in drawing people out towards what I make, I'm also introducing these people to each other. These people, you folks who are listening to this, I'm hopefully introducing you to each other. That's the goal of the live streams. The live streams bring people together. The podcast is me just talking to you. At this point, anyway, maybe I'll get back to, if I get enough people on Patreon, I can get it to interviews and maybe videos and so on. I don't know. I'm not entirely on board with the whole video podcast thing. I still think of podcasts as something to listen to while you're doing something rather than something you sit down and watch. But I wouldn't mind the odd video episode here and there if I got a large enough audience in the Patreon. £1 a month, link in bio, etc. In each case, I'm trying to show you that I'm real and there are dozens of us. Dozens! That's a reference to Arrested Development, by the way, with Tobias Funke, who is a never nude, and says, there are dozens of us. Dozens! But as I said in that Flare Search video, if any of you have seen it, you are the folks that can take an idea and turn it into a community. The way the internet is making it harder to be a follower of people now, I feel like there's less people on social media and more influencers, more personal brands. Every other video I come across is trying to aggressively sell me something, so much so that I don't see the face of the person talking, I just hear a voice and see hands pointing at a product and using the product. Likely that the voice is from 5 videos ago, and now a whole bunch of videos are just using that audio to try and sell the same thing. Or it's professional influencers, people who have those enviable looking lives that everyone is watching. Social media started off social. It was just a way to catch up with people you know in real life online. But then people got good at presenting their lives online, and now we're all at the mercy of the algorithm, which is more inclined to show you people who are professionals at sharing their personal lives instead of people you know or people that you follow whose lives you actually want to follow. So with the internet feeling increasingly hostile towards the follower ecosystem, finding the real people is more valuable than ever. And hopefully the podcast, the live stream is where I can find you, and the podcast is where I can talk to you. I'm still hinging on this idea of, I had more people saying I should make a playlist of the songs I play on the live stream. And I'm leaning on this idea that if I get to 100 people in the Patreon, then we'll start making the playlist together. I don't know if I'll hold to that, though. I think it might be too lofty of a goal. I don't know. What do you think? Is 100 too big of a dream at this point? Should I aim for 50? Should I just make the playlist anyway? And maybe after I make the playlist, that might galvanize more people to join. I don't know. What do you think? Also, is there anything the only thing I did, okay, apart from seeing the criticism some people levied at the Oscars and the Brits and the takeover of Kendrick at the Grammys, the only thing I have actively sat down to watch is Conan O'Brien's introduction to the Oscars. He is far and away, without a doubt, my favourite late night host. The man is a gem. His podcast is gold. He is a level of funny that I think is unmatched in this day and age. He's an absolute treasure. And he lost both of his parents, I think, late last year. So I can only imagine what he went through to still continue to host. But it was outstanding. It's like an 18-minute video. I think it's the ITV YouTube channel that shared it. If you got a chance, check it out. He's a rose among thorns. I can't think of a better term, so I'll go with that. That's the only thing I actively sought out from the awards. Otherwise, am I missing anything? Are there any movies you think I should watch? Is Anora that good? I'm seeing some conversation about how it's a bellwether for pop culture leaning in a more right-wing conservative direction. That Anora won, and the Emma Stone. The Emma Stone film, Poor Things. That film winning and Anora winning are apparently a hint of pop culture leaning in a more conservative direction. That's about as much as I know from the awards. Am I missing anything? That's all. That'll do for this episode. Thank you for listening. I think I'll go live in maybe an hour's time, if any of you are listening to this in real time. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one. And until then, take care.